Uh, Sort of. Sometimes it gives you a little thing, but we are on, possibly, because sometimes there's a weird delay at the beginning, but
I don't
welcome
believe it.
to Indie-Mation Conversation, the first episode.
Trademark 2020.
TM, Circle R.
That's right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Indie-Mation Conversation. We're going to just keep saying it over and over till it becomes part of the lexicon. So I'm Jim Lujan, animator, and this is my silent partner.
Coughing in the corner. I'm Cory Kerr. And
Yeah,
so we are going to do this every so often. And today we're going to talk about holding your film hostage, which is something that you kind of feel like you have to do at times. So,
and I'm going to turn this way and talk to you, Cory. I'll tell you what. I want to tell the folks a little bit of why do this show. Why are we doing this show? Does the world need another video podcast? Well, yes, they do. But Cory and I had some offline conversations on the phone. Cory recently got into animation, and I've been involved with indie animation for about 75 years now. And we just had some really good points that we're bringing up, some doubts, some of the successes we've had, some of the things that keeps us excited about making animation. And my behind the scenes story of why I want to do this is because I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of filmmakers that are on the fence about making an animated film and are afraid to try it, or they think they don't have the right software, or they think it's too daunting, or it'll take too long. And I want to push those people right in front of the train tracks. I want to get them to do their films. I want there to be more indie animators out there, because the more that are out there, the more better. I should say that in more better English. The more indie animators out there, the better, and the better selection of films will be out there. So I just think that's my goal for doing this.
Yeah,
Cory's is completely financial.
Right. I am here because if you watch this, you owe me $1. No, just kidding. No, I'm here for a very similar reason. Like my whole like online thing is I think people need to be creating more stuff more often. And too often people use excuses to not do it. And I teach, and so I see a lot of students that think that they are busy. And I wish I had the amount of time that I had when I thought I was a busy student. It doesn't get easier, and so you have to just carve out time. And so everyone that I've seen, whether they be young or old, myself included, who has decided that I'm going to carve out time to make stuff, their life gets better. It is fulfilling. It's awesome. They meet people that they never would have met. They make things that they never would have made, and the world is better for it. And I recently got into animation, and I love it. And it is fun, and it is significantly faster than a lot of people think. And it's awesome. I like it a lot. And I love comics, and I love illustration, and I just think people should make stuff. And animation is one of those things that just kind of combines a lot of the things that I love into like one side gig. So
absolutely. And if now's the best time, better than ever, to make an animated film on your own. We'll get into our topic, holding our films hostage, and tell you what we mean by that in a second. But I wanted to also throw a little rope out there for the comic book creators out there, because if you were thinking to yourself, "Oh man, if I could just find an animator, I would get my film, my idea done." Well, don't call me, because I have too many projects of my own. But if the animation software out there is so basic, so easy to use, and if you know how to draw and know how to tell a story, you're already a step ahead. I say this. I say, one, make your own crew. Find some voice actors if you don't know any. There's tons of them out there. Really good people. Friends. Use your friends. That's one. So create a crew that has the talents and covers the areas that you can't cover. And that's really the only step. That's the biggest step, because by doing that, you will already have taken the step into making your own films. We'll go into that way more in detail as the shows go on, including a couple of episodes where we'll each share our own animation methods of how literally we'll show you on the screen how we create our own cartoons and stuff. So, and we have totally different methods too. He's the city mouse. I'm the country mouse when it comes to that. So he's very technologically skilled, and I put my animations together with dung. I just, like that.
No, you're doing exactly what a lot of people should do, because you're using a copy of CS3 Flash, which I think you can get that for free now. I think it's so old.
Yeah, it came out in like the 70s, I think, something like that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it predates computers, which is a little odd. It was very forward thinking for its time.
Yes.
But no, it's awesome because it's proof that you don't need much to get it going. I mean, like I'm starting to see on Twitter and Instagram people using Procreate to animate. Which is, what is that, like a $10 or $20 program, like one time, no subscription.
Awesome.
And you can do it on your iPad. So, I mean, one of my students just today showed me, like, I said, hey, when are you going to get into animation? Because she's been my TA for a while. So I was like, when are you going to get into animation? She's like, I made a ball bounce. And she showed me on Procreate. She had this bouncing ball, squish and everything. It was great. And that there's like $20 if you've got an iPad, And so anyway, there's some legit stuff out there. So I wouldn't knock the country mouse way of doing it, because it gets it done.
One thing I want to cover too on an episode at some point is story, because I think that's the secret weapon in all of animation. All animation tells a story, or should tell a story. So that's very important, and there's lots of creators out there with really, really cool stories. So animation is a possibility. You can do it. It's not just for the big studios. Be resourceful, and we will definitely cover that in detail. So it's not just a theory out there floating around. Oh, look, we got our first comment ever. Tim says, you can do it in Photoshop. Yes, you can. There's millions. There's stop motion. You can do cutout animation. There's a million ways. Animation is just a genre. It's not a method. So there's a million ways. And as long as you tell a good story, it's all good. That's all good. But that being said, once you tell a story, once you've completed your story, once your story is ready to be shown to the world, what do you do with it?
You hold it hostage, right?
You hold your films hostage.
You don't show anybody, and you hide it under a rock in your backyard. All right, so let's do this. I want to come back to the topic, but I also spent the weekend making an intro video. So let's watch the intro video, and then let's jump into the topic. Animation.
Indie-Mation Conversation.
Talking about movie pictures and cartoons and whatnot. I still got to mess with the levels on that, but
I like that.
That was fun. And I surprised myself at how fast I got that done. I was telling Jim, every time I do something, it just is a little bit faster. So basically, what do we mean by holding your films hostage? Here's been my experience. And then I think Jim can run with this for like 50 minutes because he's really, really hyped up about it. I didn't know what I was doing. So I made an animated short, and I was like, what do you do with these? And I called up a few people, and I was like, hey, I have this thing, and I don't know what to do. Because my normal thing is like, put it out on Instagram, put it out on YouTube, like put it out on Twitter, like get it out there, right? And I thought, this is the first time I've done something where, I mean, I spent like 6 weeks doing it. I worked, I'm not a ton, but I put a couple hundred hours or more into it, and I really polished it. I got feedback on it. I really wanted to like not do what I normally do, which is like show it and move on and not promote it. And so I was like, I'm gonna put some time and effort into promoting it, and I'm glad that I did. But I found it was kind of interesting because what happened is, when you start entering all this stuff into festivals, they say, hey, don't show it publicly for free until we get to look at it and judge it, because they're super worried about the premiere status. Like, I'm getting emails right now from this really cool festival, and they're going to show my thing in DC, and they are awesome. And they're like all about like, like lobbying for animators and all that stuff. That's great. But at the same time, they're like, tell us the premiere status, make sure that it's not available online during the festival anywhere, except if it's behind a paywall or behind like a password protected thing, because we want to be the only one showing it in our area. And so I have submitted to, I think it was like 80 film festivals.
Wow, that's expensive.
Yeah, I've got some tricks. So yes, it was costly, but I do freelance work to fund my side projects, and it felt right. And I just kind of do things that feel right. So I didn't spend a ton of money because for example, I didn't do Slam. I didn't do Sundance because they're like $35 a pop, right?
Yeah.
But I did get into a film festival in Slovakia, right? I got into a film festival in Rome and London and Florence and Florida and whatever, because I had a rule where if they gave me a discount that brought it down underneath a certain price, and it looked like a legit thing, I had some criteria, then I'd go for it. And
how long is your film that you submitted?
2.5 minutes.
Oh, yeah. There's another challenge, with the length of the films too.
Right. And so then I've got people that are like, hey, are you going to come to our festival? And I was like, I would love to, but you're in Italy and it's a 2.5 minute short. I don't know if I can justify $3,000 out of my own pocket to fly there, sleep in a hotel for a couple nights, hang out with it. And then and I live in a remote area. And so, if it's not within like a 6-hour drive of where I am, I'm unlikely to make it. Unless you want to pay my way, but it's not a feature film, it's a short. So
right. And so you are willingly holding your film hostage until something is determined, and you really don't have a choice in the matter. It's like a gamble that you want to get into that festival, or do you want the world to see it? You really got to balance things out.
Yeah. And I mean, right now, this is what it looks like. I've won 5 awards. I'm in, what is that? Like 15 to 17 different festivals so far. And I do think that that's super valuable. Just kind of the social credibility that I get from being associated with these festivals, because I'm like an unknown, like I'm a no name.
Not to brag, but I have a know me. Okay.
We're going full screen on your know me there.
On my know me. I love my know me. So, Cory, I have forever created films and just put them out there. YouTube, wherever. I've done my own festivals, with festivals with friends, done my own screenings. Then, there's one right now, Infinity Pool. We did a private screening at a theater for that. It was kind of cool because we had a marquee up with it. But this is one of the films that I'm kind of holding hostage right now because this is another one from All That Glitters, my other film, and I have an hour-long version of this film that has been submitted to festivals, and I'm not really showing it for free online as I normally do. and it's killing me. But the point is, I just want to see if I can get it into these festivals, and some of them are a little bit prestigious. I mean, I haven't done Sundance yet, but done like Woodstock.
Mhm.
I've submitted to Woodstock and I think Chicago and Philadelphia International. So we'll see what happens. But at the time that we're filming this, it's January. Some of the festivals aren't going to judge until like September or something like that. And that's ridiculous.
Right.
So what to do? What to do? But again,
and I mean, before we go into like what to do, do you think it's worth it?
I can speak from experience. This is another thing. It's not just theory with me because
Yeah.
I've done it. I've on my own solo films. I've done film festivals and gone to them and I mean real festivals, not my own. And then I've done it with Bill Plimpton with Revengeance.
Mhm.
We've had that thing in real festivals, big festivals. And I think the way I look at it is this right now. If it is like a gamble, it's like walking into a casino and there's this giant slot machine and you put money into it and you crank it and you can walk away with nothing, or you can hit the big jackpot and everyone is right there to see you hit the big jackpot. And all of a sudden, they follow you in the parking lot and kill you. But I don't know.
That's the end of the story.
Yeah,
You win the jackpot and then you get knifed in your car.
The end. Dead and buried in the desert, shallow grave. Welcome to Indie-Animation. But I don't know. It's a gamble, and I took a gamble with those two films. However, I've done my private screenings with them, and I'm going to do more private screenings with them.
Yeah.
But it's in my nature to want to put those out for free on, let's say, like YouTube, whatever platforms, and have the numbers of people see them. This is what's interesting to me. And this is just the way my brain works. I think if you play at a film festival and you have a packed house every screening, let's say you play for 10 nights and you have 100 people, 150 or 100 people fill the theater every night, that's 1,000 people. But online, you could potentially have 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 people watch your films. But you're just not there to enjoy it, or you're not there to make the business deals too. But
Yeah.
I'm living proof that good stuff can happen by getting the word out through the internet too, because I've had good connections come that way too.
Yeah, and I have found I mean, here's been my journey as this goes, is I typically share the process of most things that I do. And so Scott Cirkland hired me for a gig, and he designed this character and I made the character move. In sharing that process, it led me to another thing, right? It led me to another gig, right?
Mm-hmm.
Joshua Kimball, same thing. Like he and I were like, hey, let's collaborate on this deal. And in doing each of those, it led to the next thing. This animated short, every time I get a placement, every time I win an award, or every time I do whatever, I share that and I say, hey, check this out. The fascinating thing to me is that, without giving like actual numbers, because it's current work I'm doing. I landed a gig that was the second largest freelance gig I've ever gotten. And they had never seen my short, but they saw that I was doing it, and they saw enough of like, hey, I rigged this character. Look, he's got a walk cycle. To know, like, I like how that looks. That looks legit. This guy knows what he's doing. I'm going to hire him to do that. And so I think you can kind of have the best of both worlds. But I don't know. I mean, I do think there's social credibility in being able to say, like, I've won best animated film in 2 things, best animated short in another 2 things, best film poster at another thing, and then I've been placed in all these other ones. I'm being shown all over the world. There's something to that, in addition to being able to say, like, sometime this year I'm going to release it online, and a few hundred people will see it. Because I don't get huge amounts of traction now. 5 years from now, when I've got a bunch of this, a huge catalog of these things, somebody sees my 10th film, they'll go back and watch my first film and my second film and my third film. So all of that, because that's how it's worked for illustration for me too. So yes, I'm holding it hostage, but not indefinitely. Unless somebody pays me a lot of money, I am going to release it publicly for free.
You're going to release the hostage.
I will release the hostage.
Okay.
So it's kind of I'm on the fence. My imposter syndrome, that that voice in my head that tells me that I suck and I don't belong everywhere, is quieted a little bit when I get some juried validation that, like, this is good enough that you beat out other things. And that to me is useful and helpful just as much as my peers and those the people that I know online saying, "Hey, I enjoyed that," or whatever. So I like both. I like doing both.
Well, number one, I'm sorry, I will not tell you that you suck and that you're not good enough anymore.
Okay.
I don't think that's a good thing after all.
I especially appreciate you not doing it at 2 a.m. anymore. Those phone calls are weird.
The whispers in the ear.
Right.
Have you thought about this? Have you thought about creating one for the festival and one for free distribution? Two different shorts.
See, I liked what you did with yours, where you released it as a web series, and then you recut it and added new scenes to make it into a feature film.
Yeah,
that's something I could get behind. I really like that model a lot.
Yeah, that was the whole purpose of that one too. I wanted to try that because I wanted to do. It's All That Glitters, by the way. If you go to jimlujan.com or you go to my YouTube page, Jim Lujan, or YouTube/Jim Lujan, you can watch the whole series of All That Glitters. And then I have a movie, like Cory was saying, that's an hour-long movie that has some additional footage and some things rearranged. And you don't have to watch the credits every single time. So thank you, Scott. He says it was awesome. I'm going to put that on the poster. Thank you. But I really like the movie. I prefer the movie myself, the movie version.
Yeah.
I think it flows really well. It's very weird because it was put together as a series and then reverse engineered to be as a movie, and I put different transition scenes in there. So it works as this really entertaining movie, but it's just like a weird movie. Pretty much everything I do is probably weird, but this one especially. Whereas Infinity Pool, the other thing I did, was designed as a movie. Yes, this one right here was designed as a film. So I created it as a film. And then that one's like 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
By the way, that's one of the most fun projects I've ever worked on, Infinity Pool. It's very weird, and I can't wait for everybody to see it. It's very, if Stanley Kubrick had a brother that was, kind of a joker, I think that's how this movie would come out. So,
so we're talking about, you've got 2 different models. One is don't release, or I guess 3, don't release it. You hold it hostage. You wait until the end, of the judging, and it does the circuit or whatever we want to call that. Right? It's going the rounds in the thing. Another one is you have one that's publicly available, and then you have another one that is only available in festivals, and then the third one is you say screw it, you release it online, and maybe only there are some festivals that are okay with that, and if you want to go through and read the things and say, this is cool, we're cool with doing this, then you can kind of do that. So, there are all of those options.
That's another thing we need to start doing is festival trading, like give each other tips on, although we're competition, but who cares?
Oh yeah, sure.
Who cares? Who cares? Festival trading, giving each other tips of which festivals to try out for. Yeah, I think ideally, it would be good to play the big, huge festivals. We're talking the Sundances and the Tribecas and those, of course. Yeah, South by Southwest. Of course, those would all be fantastic to play. And then to also be able to release stuff for free. But then again, ideally, it'd be nice to release a movie and have people waiting around the corner to see it,
Right.
So I don't know. The whole freemium model, I'm gonna never abandon that because it's worked for me. And I like it.
And I like pulling the curtain back and just showing how the sausage is made in all of its ugliness. I got a lot of really good content out of, I've got hours of content out of this 2.5-minute film. Cause we were talking about this before we went live, but I even shot like me doing the Foley, for this film, which I did out of like smashing fruit and sucking on it and hitting it with things and taking like a bell pepper and like just crushing it with my bare hands.
I didn't want to tell you this, but they're circulating your video in Japan in certain circles. Very popular.
That's good. As long as the residuals keep coming in, I'm fine. I was wondering what those checks were for, but
the Czechs like it too, by the way.
The Czechs like it too. But with that, like the downside of the festival thing, which I think there are a lot of huge upsides. The downside is I do have people that, probably once or twice a week, I've got somebody online that's like, where can I see your film? Like, I want to watch this short, know, and I every time I have to tell them sometime in like the last half of 2020, it'll be released. And I worry that by then, I don't know, in the back of my mind, it's not that good. It's just okay. And I worry that I'm like playing the hype game wrong, that like people have waited for it for over a year by the time they get to see it. And they're going to watch this 2.5-minute film that's fairly bleak and kind of depressing. And then at the end, they're going to be like, wow, that was not worth the wait.
That's natural though. Every filmmaker feels that way about their stuff at some point. You get highs and lows. It's like being a filmmaker is like having I was gonna say yo-yo syndrome, bipolar syndrome. It's like being you're like I am it, and then I am shit. It's like you're the shit both ways.
Right.
It's just comes with the territory because you're exposing your feeling, your raw nerves to the audiences. But that's why when you get a project that you feel like you kind of don't care, you're just having so much fun. Infinity Pool was that for me. I didn't care after a while. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I just wanted to put it out there. When you can get a project like that in any medium, it's the best because it kind of finishes itself. And then you have to figure out what you're going to do with it afterwards.
Yeah.
I think that, I don't know. We could have this talk in a year, and I could tell you that festivals are the greatest thing ever because I win a Nomi.
Hold on, wait. Hold it up again. We gotta go full screen on that Nomi.
Best 909 movie, 2013, 909 film, whatever. The Nomi. Thank you, Eddie Gonzalez, festival runner. But that's such a fun festival, by the way. But oh, by the way, go check out 909 Junkie. That's the website for that, by the way.
Okay.
It's so
a year from now, you could say that like
really
festivals
happy.
are amazing.
Yeah, I could say they're, because if I get good results. If not, then I'll be right back where I started from, where it's like I'm going back to, showing them for free. What I plan to do, though, and I think we talked about this a little bit earlier, is I just started a brand new project that's going to take me about a year to do. It's going to be a feature-length cartoon. I know I can do it. I know my production method. I know, I know about how long it'll take me. I got it plotted out and stuff. But during that time, I need to decide: am I going to submit it for big festivals, or am I going to try to put it out for free? Am I going to do my own screenings? I don't know. So I'll figure that out as the year goes on.
Yeah.
But what I will do, and you've been directly responsible for this, Mr. Kerr, is that I will show the making of a lot more that I've done before. Yeah, because I love it when other people, you show, like you said, how the sausage is made. Well, I'm ready to show my sausage, Mr. Kerr, and I'm going to anyone that is willing to look, I will show.
And it doesn't even have to be like a big deal production wise. Like a lot of the times, I'll do like a carousel, and well, let me just show this. So a lot of the times I'll just like, here's an animation I did, right? And so the first frame of this Instagram carousel is the animation, right? And then the next one is like, here's, a little description of what's going on. And then I just go through, these are just literally just like, it's just a little tutorial of like how I made it.
That's ridiculous. Wow. That's so well done, Cory. Cory, did you do the artwork too?
Yeah.
That's all. It's good all around, Cory. I mean, it's a good teaching tool. It's a noble gesture that you're doing, because you're giving this away for free to help people. And then it's just good artwork, period. Good design.
And so anytime I do something like this, so like here's one I did last week. For the last month and a half or so, I've been trying to do like one animation a week. And then I just go through, like, I shot this part on my phone. So I literally, and this is the worst thing that you could do. I pointed my phone at my computer screen.
Yeah.
and then I just shot it. And you know what? Like, the animation looks good and this looks like garbage, but like it gets the point across of like how it's working. Right. And so like the behind the scenes stuff, like even in feature films that are made by Hollywood and they spend like $1 bajillion on them or whatever, the behind the scenes stuff half the time is like some intern running around with like a GoPro. You know what I mean? It's that people are just like, oh, that was amazing. And now I want to see like what happens with that, And so a lot of the time the behind the scenes stuff doesn't have to be ridiculous.
It shows people that it shows people like this is where it comes from. Like, and then somebody could be looking at this going, oh man, that kind of looks like my stuff when I started. They just don't take it to the 1100th level that you take it to. You know what I mean? But it's inspiring. I'm telling you, I get inspired when I see works in progress more than I do people talking about doing a work in progress. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like one day I'm going to do this, or one day I like to see, oh, this is what I have so far. That's really cool. We live in a time too that there's lots of process videos out there, tons of process videos out there.
Yeah.
So
we also, and because of that, and because of the technology, and because of everything else, there's literally no excuse to not do it. If you feel like you are slightly interested, the only thing that should hold you back is if you're honest with yourself and you say, I am too lazy to make the sacrifices that I need to make to do this. Because it's not technology, it's not know-how. It's not. I mean, literally, and I've done hours of ranting about this, so I won't do that now. But the French Revolution, one of the major causes, like Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson and the American Revolution, they're all part of it, and there's like different famines and things. But one of the major things that nobody talks about is that there was a group of people that decided to make an encyclopedia, and that revolutionized thinking, because prior to the encyclopedia, people would hold on to knowledge. And like, if you wanted to know how to shoe a horse, your dad better be a blacksmith, or you better be an apprentice to a blacksmith, because that is the only way you're going to figure it out. And then they were like, you know what? Screw that. We're going to take all of that hidden, secret, gilded knowledge, and we're just going to, anybody that can read can have it. And that was one of the things that stopped this class system of like serfs and industry and, like blue blood and all that stuff. And it literally changed the world. And hundreds of years later, we are now looking at a situation where you take out a little glass rectangle from your pocket and you tell it, I want to learn about X. And it gets that information from space and delivers it to your hand, and you can learn about whatever you want. And so it's like, if you want to learn how to animate right here, right now, I can tell you that you can go to my YouTube channel, and I have an entire playlist that'll teach you everything that you need to know about After Effects. I don't know why I did that, but I spent the time to make that happen. And so go look up AI to AE, and that'll teach you how to go from Adobe Illustrator to Adobe After Effects. And about a week, you'll know everything you need to know to make your own feature film. And so there's literally nothing stopping you.
That's amazing that you did that. That's not only that you took the time, but that it's such high quality. That's a really good gift you've given the world.
Thanks.
I thought the French Revolution was caused by aliens. So
the ones that built the pyramids.
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
I might have been a little bit off on that one.
They may have written the encyclopedia. I'm not exactly sure on that.
So I actually didn't know that about the encyclopedia, by the way.
Yeah. And
that does remind me of the internet now.
Right. I mean, it was the democratization of knowledge. I mean, prior to that, you had to be born into it, or
except they didn't have fail videos.
That's true.
Those encyclopedias. They probably had drawings of people falling down though in them. So
well, what they really had is a life expectancy of like 45, and so life in general was just a fail video of just people dying horribly.
This is my grandfather. He's 31 years old. So speaking of 31, we're at 38 minutes. That's a horrible transition. But I think we were saying, like, on an average, we'll keep it around half an hour-ish, unless we have a guest. By the way, we hope to have guests. We will have guests on this talking about indie animation. So here's to kind of put a bow on this. Tell me if you agree with this.
Okay.
I would say that the goal of this show is, number one, to get people animating their indie animated films. Because I'm big on doing animation's one thing. You could play around and do little cute animations and stuff like that, and that's cool. But I'm really turned on by animated films. Like, I want people to tell their stories with animation.
Yeah.
All different formats. But that's what really, like, that's my goal, is to get people telling more stories using animation. And then the second thing is to kind of, maybe educate. Like, I don't know, now I know about the French Revolution. I'm an expert at it now. So, those two things. And then the third one is make a ton of money, just ridiculous amount of money.
Well, so, and I will say this about animation. I think full-time animation gigs at a studio, I'm gonna exclude that from this statement. But freelance animation work, compared to most graphic design and most illustration, pays way more.
Yeah, it does. Music videos can pay very well.
Yeah.
If you can do animation, you can get some freelance gigs. I'm almost any level of animation. If I've seen everything from Oscar-winning caliber Pixar type, on commercials, to the other end of the spectrum, and I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm on the spectrum, but I've done commercials and I've done videos and I've done stuff, and if that's what you want, there's gigs out there. It's a lot easier to get a gig as an animator, like in that capacity, than I think it would be as a live action director, because there's less people doing specific animation. There's people doing illustration, but animation, I think there's a lot less, because those people usually have a gig at a studio or have a long-term gig. So,
but I mean, also, if you're willing to do corporate stuff, I would say at a certain level, an animated like explainer video is almost your only answer to explain a concept. Like, think about medical, think about industrial, think about whatever. Like, for example, this is in another life. Oh man, that was a long time ago. But I did a really rough looking explainer video about this metallurgical process, and I had a bunch of metal engineers. Obviously, it's been a while, so I can't remember the title. But anyway, they were debating what it looked like inside of this machine that they had built, like the thermodynamics, like where the heat was, right? And so I had to sit there as a communicator and try to figure out like some way to do this where all 6 of these engineers that all disagreed with each other on what it would look like, they all were like, I don't think that's it, but that could be it. And then I made it move, and they had a video that they could take to investors and say, this is what is happening. And they got funded, right? But I couldn't shoot that live action, right? If I just did like a brochure about it, nobody would pay attention, and it doesn't explain the process. Moving images are oftentimes one of the best ways to communicate something, and people will pay for that.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
and it's a rare skill too. It's a rare skill. I mean, you do have, if you out there, wanted to get into freelance animation, I think you got a pretty good shot at it. I do. Now, I don't know if you're going to be getting the big Monsanto gig, but you will. There are companies out there, small little companies, that will pay. Yeah. And that's a whole nother story about putting a reel together, and that is where the free comes in, because YouTube can be your best friend in that. I mean, the most important thing.
IGTV, Twitter, like you can use all of those platforms to upload video content. I'm putting stuff on TikTok right now. Like you can put that stuff out there if you've got a phone that'll do it. And then here's what happens at least in the freelance market. On the rare occasion that somebody is like, oh man, I need an animation of this. You don't have to. I'm not beating out, like people at Titmouse. I'm not beating out people that are producing. Like, there's no way they're going to out animate me any day of the week. But in my network, the people that I know, they don't know those guys.
Yeah.
And so they're like, I need an animator. They know that I do that because I share it constantly. I share my process at least weekly, if not daily. And so years might go by for somebody, and then they're like, when this happened to me with illustration, somebody went to their boss and said, hey, I'd like to do 5 huge illustrations. And he was like, oh, you know what? I know a dude that does that. Am I the best illustrator in the world? I'm not, but I might be the best illustrator that guy knows. And so I got the job. And it was only because I share it constantly.
You are the best illustrator in the world, by the way.
No.
In the world.
Surrounded by proof that is not true.
In my world, you are.
I'll say one more thing about festivals, though, is this is my animated short and my name on IMDb. And that never would have happened. Like that never would have happened. Here's my storyline, and there's trivia, and it's that's all because I specifically entered festivals that were IMDb qualifiers. I even entered festivals as outlandish as this sounds that are Oscar qualifiers. Now, I'm not going to beat out Pixar or DreamWorks, but like in that slightest possibility of the fraction of the percentage that I could, I'm in that arena.
I love it, man. I love it that you do that. I think that's inspirational.
So, I mean, I don't know. It's interesting, but it's like there's something to be said for putting it out there as you do it. It's awesome. I finished it, ship it, publish it, move on, make the next thing. And there's also something to be said for play the game the way that the game is set up, because I've got an IMDb credit that I wouldn't have had otherwise, and who knows, like some people are like, who cares? It's just a website on the internet. And other people are like, wow, that's legit. And I'm going to pay this guy more when I hire him because he's an award-winning animator or whatever, right? And and I argue in my head of the importance of those things, but like to a certain group of people that were asked to jury a show, they made a choice, and that choice was my film. And there's something about that adds social proof. It adds street cred. And there's a lot to be said for showing it online and having, I've got videos that do, less than 100 views per video. And I've got a couple that do, are approaching 100,000.
Wow.
And, and those aren't videos that are like that I animated, but it's like, here's a tutorial video that, on how to do this thing, and it took off. Right. And so everything in between, I don't know. I think the end of this episode, the best thing I could say is there isn't one answer. And I always try to do what feels right at the time. And that has, I think on the next one, I don't know if I'm going to do the festival circuit, but on this one, I'm glad I did. It's worked out well. I don't regret it. Maybe 80 was too many. So I don't know.
I like that. We should each have a summarizing statement at the end of each episode. So I think mine would be, it depends on what you want.
Yep.
Yeah. Know what you want, and then it's not going to be the same answer for everybody. It depends on what you want, what makes you happy, and then go for it. And with that, I will say, Cory.
Jim, if people would like to see your things and your stuff, where can they go? I should have had this preloaded, but where is a...
They can go to jimlujan.com, which at the time of this points to my YouTube page, but it'll always point somewhere cool. It might take you to a Grumpy Cat Rest in Peace site. It might take you to a water park one day. It might take you somewhere into space, for all I know. But for right now, jimlujan.com takes you to where you need to be to see my stuff. You can catch All That Glitters, the entire series, all 20 episodes on my YouTube channel. Check out my playlists too. If you go to my YouTube page, I got multiple playlists. I got a couple playlists that are just music from the films.
That's something we didn't mention that I want to talk about in one of these episodes is you create all of the music for your shows.
Mm-hmm. I write the songs that make
the
young girls cry. That's a very Manilow line, by the way. So yeah, I'd love to do that. We'll do this. I think we have, like we were talking about this earlier. I think we have at least like 10 really good, solid episodes of topics. I wanted to pick this one because this is where we're at right now. Our films are being held hostage by ourselves, by our own willing doing. So
yes. Oh, and I just want to point out that another thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about production, because I feel like you either have some sort of wormhole into like a slipstream of time, or that was just the fact, because like we were chatting back and forth on Facebook Messenger, and I was like, hey, we should have a cool thumbnail for this. And then it was like 3 seconds later, you're like, hey, I drew this thing. I was like, wait, what? How did that? It was really fast.
It's not crystal meth. I know what the message boards are all saying. No, I did that actually in Procreate. Yeah. I think I draw pretty fast. It must be a Mexican thing, because Sergio Aragonés draws really fast too.
It's awesome.
And I didn't see the mustache.
That might be why I draw so freaking slow. But yeah. I mean, if Swiss or German or Scottish people had any speed, that might help me out. But they are not.
Maybe speed. Maybe that's the thing.
Maybe it should be speed. All right. If you want to see my stuff, you are currently on my channel, and so hit the thumbs up, share this video to the masses. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also go to jimlujan.com, which will bring you to Jim's channel, and subscribe to his channel, because sometimes this show is going to be on my channel and sometimes this is going to be on his channel. We'll probably both have a playlist of it on our YouTube channels, and it will be available on. I always do this with the stuff that I really like, and so if you go to corykerr.com/videos, then you can see that on my website, you can always see that, like there's all the videos. So there'll be this square right here will be filled in with the new playlist that we're going to be doing.
Nice.
So,
and these will always be meant to be evergreen too. Another reason for doing these is that hopefully if somebody watches these in a year or 2 years or whatever, it's still applicable. So we won't always talk about the latest. This is the latest software, version point. We're just going to be doing concepts and things that will always be applicable. But I just want to tell people to get out there and hashtag make cartoons.
Yes,
This is where you freeze and then play the music.
Oh, hold on just a second. Do it again. Ready?
Like I said, hashtag make cartoons.
Indie-Mation.
Animation.
Indie-Mation Conversation.
Talking about movie pictures and cartoons and whatnot. All right. We'll see you guys next time. We're out.